I vividly remember hitting walls in my art journey. I remember feeling as though I wanted to draw or I wanted to complete different pieces, but I could never get myself to kind of pass that hump of getting to that next level. Kind of felt like I was at the best that I could be, even though I knew that I was nowhere near anywhere I wanted to be. So today what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about 7 things that are holding you back from becoming a great artist. I hope that these 7 things can really unlock your mind, unlock your creativity, and really propel you to becoming the artist that you know that you can be. Number 1, self-doubt. If I'm honest, self-doubt is a pretty common one. And this one really ranges from everyone who's genuinely really good at being an artist and people who haven't even started their career yet. Self-doubt is a paralyzing disease, I like to call it. It'll stop you from doing anything of importance or really anything at all. I believe that if you don't have confidence in yourself, it's really hard to enjoy anything that you're doing. You kind of start things, you put them down, and it's not even because you're not good at the thing, but it's because you simply believe that you aren't good at it. And it's one of those things where you kind of have to trick yourself and find ways to gain that confidence in yourself by stacking up little wins over time, whether that's doing quick sketches, whether that's drawing your favorite anime characters, or just doing anything that can keep that feeling of, I think I can do this. Number 2, fear of failure. Now, growing up, I was always taught the opposite of winning was losing, or, the opposite of succeeding was failing. And one thing I learned as I became an adult is that failing actually isn't the opposite of succeeding. It's actually quitting. And when I learned that, it really opened up a lot of doors for me. And it told me that actually failing is the only way to get to success at all. You're not going to just pick up, your drawing utensil, whether that's a paintbrush, a pen, whatever, and you're not going to just be great on your first piece. It's going to take time. You're going to have pieces that suck. You're going to have pieces that you don't think are good. You're going to have pieces that you think are really good that you might, in 2 years from now, you're going to think suck. I feel like I do that all the time, where I'll see pieces of my work and I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then, 6 months later, I look at the exact same piece and I'm like, wow, that was so bad. I think just being able to put yourself out there and let yourself fall, that's the first step. Sometimes you just got to get on the bike. You can't fall off the bike until you get on the bike. And I think having that fear of failure will paralyze you, just like having self-doubt will, where it keeps you away from having any type of success in anything at all because you won't even get on the bike. Number 3, lack of discipline. Art is a perishable skill, I like to call it, where if you don't do it every day or if you don't do it often, you'll inevitably lose the skills. Now, they won't completely go away, but they'll definitely not be as good as if you drew every day for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and you just kind of kept that skill going. That's the same way I like to look at art. I played basketball growing up, and basketball is the same way. It's one of those sports where if you're not in the gym every day, you will eventually lose the skill. And again, not completely, but you'll lose it to the point where it's going to take you about a week or 2 weeks to get back to where you left off. And so having a disciplined or a consistent schedule for your art will really propel you and help you become a great artist as well. For me, I like to take at bare minimum 20 minutes a day and just draw, whether that's sketching on Sketch Daily or whether that's practicing the Loomis method or practicing hands or gestures or whatever it is. I like to take about 20 minutes a day and just put something on a piece of paper. That way I can let out that creativity and, keep practicing at that skill. Number 4, comparison. Constantly comparing yourself to other people. This one isn't just in art. This is in everything. Comparison will literally steal all joy away from you. Whether you're a good artist, a bad artist, it doesn't really matter. If you're a bad artist and you're looking at great artists, it can be good as long as you're studying it and you're looking at their art to learn from it. But if you're looking at their art and you're comparing yourself and you're like, oh, I just suck, then it's just going to paralyze you, just like self-doubt and fear of failure will. And vice versa. If you're someone who's really good at art and you're only looking at, you're looking at artists who aren't as good as you and you're just building your head up with pride, it'll do the exact same thing. It'll steal your joy. Pride comes before the fall, and you won't get any better by looking at people's art that are not as good as you and just telling yourself that you're so good. So I think you gotta have a balance. Obviously, you gotta know where you are and know how good you are at your art to gain that confidence. But also, when you do compare your art to people that are better at you than art, you have to look at it from a lens of what can I take away from this piece of work to help me get better as well. Number 5, comfort zone. This one right here is if any of these were for me, it's definitely this one. I resist stepping outside of my comfort zone all the time when it comes to doing my art. I love doing realistic art to an extent. I love doing art that I can see, or like pictures or something that I can say, I looked at this and I basically translated it onto this digital art onto my iPad, for lack of better words. And sometimes that really sucks because I really want to find a way to create my own style and push some of these limits, but it's really hard to push the boundaries when you just want to keep things normal and as realistic as possible. And so for me, this is definitely the hardest one. But if you're an artist who really loves creativity and really loves to push those limits, I highly suggest just going and messing up, going and, you know, trying new things, push those boundaries. Don't limit your exposure to new ideas. Make sure that you're always being creative and, you know, keeping art simple and keeping it you. That's going to be the most important thing. Number 6, perfectionism. Striving for perfection can also be one of those paralyzing diseases that I see a lot of artists get, where they feel like because their art isn't perfect, they don't even want to put it out, or they don't ever really finish anything because it's never ever done. I think for people that are perfectionists, especially in the art community, I think a good way to cure this disease is to time yourself. Set a timer on each project that you do. Maybe it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 20 minutes. I don't necessarily know, obviously base it on what you're doing, but set a timer and just draw. Once that timer goes out, stop, release it. That way it gives you a sense of urgency to draw faster if the time is lower, but also makes you come to a stopping point where you can't touch it anymore. That's going to be huge, especially for the perfectionist. And that way they can't just, you know, draw on the same picture for, 8 hours and looks exactly the same. And last but not least, number 7, not seeking feedback. Failing to seek constructive feedback will eventually plateau your creativity, your skill set, and your artwork. Reason why is because you can't see the things that you aren't good at. If you could, everyone would infinitely get better. Eventually, you have to put out your work so that people can say, oh, the eyes are too big, the lips are too big, the mouth, the teeth look crazy, the hair looks like strands of yarn. I don't know, you gotta put out your art so that way people can critique. And obviously there's good critiques and there's bad critiques, but you want to be able to be critiqued, period. For me, every time I finish a piece of work, I show my wife and I tell her, hey, be super real with me. What's good? What's bad? What do you think I can fix? And I allow her to give me unapologetic feedback. Sometimes I don't like her feedback, but at the end of the day, I know that the next piece that I do, I can maybe fix that error or that issue that she called out, and I can get better at that specific thing. And so in my opinion, these are the 7 things that hold back most artists in their art from becoming great. I hope that this video helps you acknowledge and also get over some of these hurdles that a lot of artists come in contact with. And I hope that you're able to move past these things, get better at art, become a great artist, stay consistent, and give back to the next generation of artists. And so with that, guys, I am wrapped up. Thank you guys for watching the video. Go hit the like button, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.